Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Birthright coverage as we wind down coverage of the Boss expansion here. So one of the cool, unique things that we can import from this, or that we have in the setting, but really we could import into other homebrews and just other settings that you want to, is this ability of spell tattoo. So we're going to take a look at that in a little bit more depth in this video. So we'll kind of take a look at the background first and then how that works and how it can be assigned or acquired. So, many of Cerullia's human and humanoid races employ tattooing as decoration or cultural ritual, pretty standard stuff there. However, to the Voss, they feel an integral part of their religion and culture and actually have magical abilities. So, in addition to like bloodline abilities, we actually have these spell tattoo abilities. So many Voss sport tattoos of one kind or another, and to outsiders they would just seem, like basically crude tattoos, right, with nothing else going on. However, the Voss spell tattoo is a class by itself and should be understood by those who wish to survive in a Vossguard. So, when men or women, usually warriors, distinguish themselves in battle or other activities that greatly benefit their tribe or church, they may be rewarded with a spell tattoo. Spell tattoos are different from the non-magical ones that they wear. Again, basically has a special magic that commands more respect than the mundane, typical just skin dyeing. So when properly earned, they can be imbued with magic usable by the bearer. Only priests can imbue a spell tattoo with power, and only priests can order the creation of the tattoos. Since Voss priests hoard their powers and jealously guard them from non-priests, even among their own race, the awarding of a spell tattoo is meant to be a rare and special event. So, when it's properly created and enchanted, it allows a favored character, again usually a warrior, to carry the magic of a particular spell. When the character decides to use the spell, they can activate the tattooed spell and use it as if they were the priest who originally cast the spell. Now, the tattoo has a chance of being ruined forever, but if it survives, it can be re-enchanted with the same spell it held before, and you can kind of start to understand some of the power that could present to characters when these are acquired. These powerful magics have been copied by a few non-Voss priests. Interestingly enough, at one time a tool used exclusively by priests of Belanek and Krisha, spell tattoos have made their way across Cerullia slowly until virtually every human race has access to them. Now, the Anuirans may or may not possess the secrets of a spell tattoo. They consider tattooing barbaric and unnatural, so you wouldn't really find it there, and that'd be something that would certainly draw attention. So, the mechanics are described below, and we'll see that there's a new third level priest spell that we get here called Tattoo Magic. So, now there is an oversight here in the Birthright rulebook, and basically the all sphere is not listed as a sphere of access for priests of Krisha. Her priests are not, are allowed minor access to the all sphere. So let's jump in and take a look at that, guys. So we get the third level spell, and it's an enchantment. Touch for the range. We can see the components there, the duration, and how long the casting time takes. So that's something too. So it basically allows a priest to imbue a specially created tattoo with the energy of a single memorized spell. The bearer of the spell tattoo can then discharge the spell at any time as if they were the casting priest. The magic then fades and must be recharged with the same spell if it's to be used again. Again, these are fairly widely used, but again, in a certain sense, still somewhat rare because they have to be earned, really, for a priest to probably want to grant this. And it's been successfully used on rare occasions by priests in Brechtor, Kinasi, and even Rurik, but again, Anuirans just don't go for this. So when casting a tattoo magic on a target for the first time, the priest must be present during the tattooing of the subject. Once the subject has a spell tattoo inscribed on his body, the priest needs only to pantomime the actions of a tattooist when casting tattoo magic to enchant the same inscription. A spell tattoo can hold only one priest spell of first through third level, so nothing crazy here, right? Nothing too broken. The spell imbued must be cast by the priest near the end of the casting of the tattoo magic spell. Once a tattoo is imbued with a spell, that tattoo can hold only subsequent castings of that same spell. Most Voss priests can tell stories of horrible deaths suffered by individuals whose spell tattoos were attempted to be recharged with other spells, right? Could be used on purpose that way for someone who might not know, or just as a way to maybe seriously inflict harm. if not a death on somebody. A tattoo may be recharged by any priest capable of casting tattoo magic and its corresponding spell, so that way it doesn't have to be the same priest doing it, because that could obviously not be available all the time. An individual may receive multiple spell tattoos. The number of tattoos may never exceed half the character's constitution score, rounded down, or the casting will result in their death. So yeah, that's a pretty nice finite block on overly abusing that. The material components include the priest's holy symbol, special tattoo ink blessed by a priest of the same faith, and costing no less than 300 gold pieces per vial, and any spell components necessary for the spell imbued onto the tattoo. A vial of ink is sufficient to create one tattoo of about a 3-inch radius. The components are consumed in the casting according to the procedure for the imbued spell. So really neat ability there, and again, just nice to have. If you think about the range of priest spells, 1st through 3rd level, there's a lot that could be pretty useful there, especially again on a warrior who wouldn't necessarily have access to magic, right? So lots and lots of possibilities there, and again, something cool that we could really import into anybody's homebrews as well outside of Birthright. Now, the other part of it, though, and this is again where it gets really fun, is how do we really roleplay that and make it something special? So, as it says, right, because if we abuse this, right, it's going to really unbalance a campaign on top of everything else that's going on, especially with like bloodline abilities and all that. So, couple key things here as guidelines, right? Only heroes who distinguish themselves will ever be granted a spell tattoo. Even rarer is the granting of 2 or more, right? A Zarevo favored by Belanik may gain 3 or 4 tattoos during their lifetime, but usually will only use them on rare occasions, right? Because again, they got to be recharged. But that's probably a typical one, as opposed to like the actual maximum amount that they mentioned earlier, right? So 3 to 4 probably seems fair, but again, with exceptional deeds. Priests will never grant spell tattoos to followers of other faiths, so that's already a nice limitation there, unless somebody's again figured out with where it's mentioned, right, that it's spread to some of the other cultures, right? Again, and there should be, I think, then exceedingly rare to find the priest that will do that as well. But again, could in limited fashions be used in these other faiths, as we saw with, again, like the Bryce, the Rurik, and the Kanasi. Excuse me. So, in fact, most priests prefer to grant spell tattoos only to followers of the same temple network. Under no circumstance will a priest create a spell tattoo for a follower of a god in opposition to their own. In other words, like Belanik versus Halen and so on. Instead, that priest will probably seek to destroy a spell tattoo worn by a heretic, and probably the bear as well. So again, something to also consider potentially, if we're traveling in different areas, but there are maybe people that recognize the spell tattoo from, again, like the other cultures and so on, so we could have some people out to cause harm, just because of, again, some tattoos here. Then finally, or not quite finally, but spell tattoos are not meant to be discreet or hidden. Often they are large and obvious and a badge of honor. And again, kind of marry that with the fact that, again, if we encounter people of other faiths that see that too, that they might seek to do harm. But anyway, often they're as a result, a character may be limited in the number of spell tattoos they may wear. Too many tattoos or wounds or ritual scarring may result in marring or destroying the existing tattoos, right? So again, shouldn't be someone that's just, like head to toe covered in tattoos and going kind of off the deep end for that. And then finally, Cerulean deities grant spells to their priests solely at their discretion. They do not look kindly on priests who try to maximize their personal power at the expense of the faith. As a result, few priests have spell tattoos. Even fewer feel secure enough to enchant their own. Legends of priests stripped of their priestly abilities or blasted into nothingness for misusing the spell are well known in Voskhard. So again, I like that they built in some clear limitations for that, but does again present some fun ways that we could incorporate in that campaign if we're running that in any of the territories of Voskhard, and just some unique, cool things to really, again, further set them apart from just sort of the generic barbaric peoples, right? So we got a lot of neat things going on. We got the general parameters of the Birthright setting. We have bloodline abilities. We have this unique culture here, and then again also this spell tattoo spell magic that we can incorporate. Let us know how you guys would incorporate that into your campaigns. Have you run that in your Voss campaigns if you've run one, and how has that gone, and were you able to keep it fair and balanced? Hit us up in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll have more Birthright for you soon.